What's going on, rock stars? Welcome to the 1% Life Show. Today, we're talking about this complete myth that's out there about hustling harder, grinding more, that is the key to getting to the top. I'm here to tell you it's all a lie. That's right. So as you come in here, if it's your first time listening to the 1% Life Show on Facebook, drop a 1 in the chat. If you're a return listener, drop a 2. We love to know who you are. And make sure you share this out with somebody who should be listening to this show. If you've gotten any value from the show in the past, be sure that you do share this out and tag someone so we can continue to grow. So rock stars, let's get into this. Hope you are having an incredible day today. I'm kind of having fun, so I'm going to just digress for a moment before we get into this. And, what's going on in my life? I've got a special guest visitor in town. We have officially broken all quarantine rules, I will admit, and now self-quarantining again. So it's really fun. I'm in a fun place and enjoying, working and living and enjoying going off for a little mini getaway tomorrow to the islands out here in San Juan's, which will be really fun. And so I'm super excited. Not the Hawaiian Islands, it's on my shirt, but the San Juan Islands out here off the coast of, in the Puget Sound. It's gorgeous. If you've been here, you know. So I'm actually going to an island called Orcas. I haven't been there since I was 7 years old. Really pumped and excited to get back to, just a little bit of the island vibe from my youth. And so let's talk about this, Rockstar. What are we talking about today? Just make sure we are good to go. We're talking about grinding harder and why it is a recipe for failure. See, there's so many of these gurus out there. We won't comment on any names. Love them all. And yes, they have points to be made. The reality is this. It's not how you rise to the top 1% in your industry. Hustling harder is not the way. Grinding more, hustling harder, working 20 hours a day, 16, 12, 18, whatever hours of a day. That is not your way to get to the top. That's not the way to get to the top. And I'm going to tell you what specifically you must do to get to the top. And the only way to get there. And it's not about working from the outside in, about, doing more, working harder, spending more time, more energy, grinding yourself into the ground. It's about another key, crucial, must-have, must-be attribute. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So if I haven't introduced myself yet, let me just do so. My name is Joanie Dillon, peak performance coach and trainer to the 1% rock stars. If you're here and listening to this episode because you may be a person of action. Maybe you're someone who feels like there's just something in your body that craves activity. Like you have to always be doing something, grinding, running from here to there, doing all kinds of different projects and hustling your way to the top. Maybe that's you. And Rockstar, if it is, today's episode is for you. Perhaps you're someone who's worked multiple jobs in the past. You're so used to having 2 or 3 jobs, and you really don't have a lot of time for yourself. I used to date somebody who worked 7 days a week, like never took a day off. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in this episode, about why that's important as well, contrary to the belief that more is more, because more is actually not more, less is more. And if you resonate with any of those things that I said about doing more, feeling like when you are standing still, and this isn't about standing still, by the way, but if you feel like when you're not doing something, you're not grinding, you're not working all hours of the day, that you're not on your path, right? You've fallen off, then today's episode is for you. I know a lot of my clients right now are really feeling like this sort of unease of not being aligned with their current careers because they're out of work right now, right? It's like, I don't have a place to be because they're literally out of work. And so they feel incongruent in their identity. We're going to talk about identity here today. So I want to take you through this really powerful exercise. Yesterday's episode, I talked about in the episode, in case you don't know, it was called The Cost of Saying Yes When You Want to Say No. So make sure you listen to that episode as well. And I referred to a book in there called The One Thing. So this is a really, really powerful exercise I'm really excited to share with you. And it's going to allow you to think about what you do and what you want to achieve in a completely different way. All right, so you ready? So be here with me and let's take this in. So I want you to write down or say out loud your current income. Your current income. Now, maybe you've, for example, gone from a certain amount of income to zero because you're not working, and that's okay. But go back to your last year. What was your income? Write that number down, okay? Gross. Then multiply that number by either 2, 4, 10, or the number 20. Okay, so I know that was a lot. Let me say it again. So write down your current income. Let's just make it simple. If it is $100,000 for the purposes of math, you can multiply it by 2, which is 200,000. You can choose to multiply it by 4, 400,000. You can multiply it by 10, we're talking about $1 million, or 20, and we're talking about $2 million, okay? So it doesn't matter which one. Pick one. And write that new number down. Write that new number down. And as you're looking at that number, Rockstar, ignoring whether you're frightened by it or totally exhilarated by it, like you're excited by that number, ask yourself this question. Will my current actions get me to this number in the next 5 years? Will my current actions get me to this number in the next 5 years? And whatever your answer is to that question, if you feel like your current actions will get you to that number in the next 5 years, then great. If not, what you want to do is if they will, then keep doubling that number, So let me say that again. If they will, your current actions will get you to that number, then keep doubling it until they won't. Meaning what you're currently doing right now, your actions and your behavior in your career and your business, and whatever it is that you do, if it's not going to, you want to keep doubling that number until it's so big that, oh man, what I'm doing right now will not get me there. And what you want to do is, if you then make your actions, right, the behavior, the activity, your actions match your answer, right? You want to look at, how do I now get, if I want to make $10 million a year, like that's the number, you decided to multiply it, let's just say, whatever the number was, you got to 10, okay, let's go, whatever, $10 million a year. What do you need to do specifically to get to $10 million a year in income? Maybe it's $1 million. What do you need to do specifically to get there? Maybe it's $500,000, whatever that number is for you. What do you need to do? And when you can make your actions match your answer, the number you came up with, you, Rockstar, will be living the 1% life, right? You'll be living large. So what you want to do is you want to lift the limits of your thinking. This exercise allows you to start thinking differently, to lift the limits of how you're thinking, to expand the limits of your life. We talk about creating your 1% life on this show, right? So you want to start thinking from a different place, asking yourself more critical questions in order to start building and creating the vision of what your 1% life looks like for you. And the reality of this is that when you can get, as I talked about in yesterday's episode, get your focus as small as possible, right? Get all these things off that are on your plate right now. Get all those things off your plate and focus on the one thing, right? Simplify your thinking. What's the one behavior that will get you there? I'm going to walk you through that in just a moment. So getting your focus as small as possible, what it does is it begins to simplify your thinking, and you start to get a crystal clear vision of what you must do. So powerful. It's when we have all these things that we think we must do that we lack the clarity, right? And maybe you find yourself in the situation right now where there's so much that you think, well, I'd like to do this side hustle, and maybe I've got this part of my business, and what about launching this new project, and what about partnering with this person? And all of these things are coming up for you, right? And you feel like maybe you feel this, that you're in a little bit of overwhelm. And so whatever you do, be sure you go back and listen to the episode called When You Want to Say Yes, but You Should Say No, right? The cost of saying yes when you want to say no. Make sure you go back and listen to that. And that's going to help you to really bounce those things off your plate. So they never even make it to your plate, right? They don't get to your plate because your focus is so crystal clear and it's so what we call foveal, right? You're not like all over the place. You're just laser focused. And that's the key. So attaining extraordinary results requires you to go small. It's the opposite of what people think, right? There's all of these, we call them the hustle gurus or the grind gurus and the hustle heroes, right? They're like, oh, you got to do more, 10x everything. Yeah, gotta love him. I do. And all of them, right? It's not just, Grant Cardone. He's an incredible human being. He's done what he's done, not because, contrary to what people think, it's not because he's 10xing his actions. Here's what it comes down to. We're going to talk about that right now. So how do you go from now knowing, right? Let's say you've now figured out what you have to do. What you have to do is now clear, the action to get to that number, right? So if your number is $1 million, a 7-figure income, and you figured out, okay, my current actions will not get me there, right? You made your number so big that your current actions will not get you to that place. So now the question becomes, okay, so what is the action or are the actions? And what I like to really narrow it down to is one action. You can focus on one specific action that will get you there, then you're taking all the ambiguity and the overwhelm, right? Maybe it's ambiguous, or maybe there's just so many things that you have to do, but there's probably one specific action, and we'll give you a couple examples here in just a moment, that you can narrow it down to so you have the one thing, right? So getting your focus as small as possible, it's going to simplify your thinking and help you get crystal clear on what you must do. So now that you know what you have to do, right? Let's just say you figure it out. So if I want to become the #1 podcaster in business, let's just say, then there's a specific action attached to that. Would you agree? There is, right? There's a very specific action. It probably involves podcasting. So if I'm not podcasting, I'll never be a top podcaster. And if I'm podcasting once a month, I'll never get there either. So the one action is doing podcasts regularly, right? And coming up with what I believe that is. And it could take a long period of time if I do it once a week, or it could be a shorter period of time, potentially, right? If I do it in more frequency. So that's the one action. We're talking about action, the activity that will get you to that number that you determined, which again, you got by taking your current income and multiplying it by 2, the number 4, the number 10, or the number 20, okay? So you get options. So if you're already making, $100,000 a year, and maybe you just say, all right, what would happen if I multiplied that number by 4? That's now $400,000. And are my current actions getting me there? Are they capable of getting me there? If the answer is yes, then you want to double that number. So now we're talking 800,000. Do your current actions get you there? Will they? If not, then if they will get you there, again, double it again. And if not, then what actions must you take in order to get to that number? And now here's the key. The key is now figuring out, so now that you know what you have to do, you have to start doing it, right? And so this is the thing. Everybody says, oh, I want to go to the gym the beginning of the year, or you set all these New Year's resolutions. Well, did you do that thing, and did you do it for very long? Maybe you did it, but maybe you did it for a week or 2, right? And there's a huge percentage of the population that falls off of their New Year's resolutions. That same concept can be applied to anything with a goal in particular. You get really excited about it, and then when the evidence doesn't show up, you're not feeling like you're making progress, you fall off. So the reality is, it does not come down to the doing part, the behavior, the action, the activity, the thing that gets you there. That thing gets you the outcome, sure, but you're never going to do the thing unless you get this one concept, Rockstar. Until you get that it is your identity. It is your identity that is the only thing that matters. If you believe you're a broke person, you will be a broke person. If you believe you're a top podcaster, you will be a top podcaster because you're going to do the thing that gets you there. If you believe you're number one in your industry or the top 1%, you will then at the subconscious level, here's the key. This is where people get it wrong. Okay? It's not about consciously saying, I'm going to get there. It's not about saying I'm going to be a number one New York Times bestselling author. Sure, I can say that, but if I'm not doing the behavior, there's something underneath that. There's something underneath that that's preventing me, a belief system that exists, that's preventing me from actually taking the desired actions that will get me to that outcome, okay? Or the necessary actions, let's just say. Maybe you don't desire to do them, but they're necessary, you'll never get there. So your ability to do the actions, the behavior or the activity to get you to that, let's just call it income goal, since we're talking about that right now, is 100% related to your belief in who you are, your identity. And belief is all subconsciously created. It's not conscious mind created. It's not that I'm going to get to that goal. It's all subconscious. It's underneath all the layers, right? See, most people work from the outside in, right? They do the thing, they focus on the activity and behavior, and they fall short of doing it. They fail because they're not the person from the inside out. They're not the person inside that does the behavior that shows up with the outcome, okay, that creates the outcome in their life. So beliefs must come first. And this is where when you focus on this thing, this one thing, what do I need to believe to do what I need to do to have what I want to have in my life? Then your life will begin to change. So the question becomes this: what do you need, Rockstar? What do you need to believe in order to do the actions? Or as I'm talking about, the one thing. What is the one behavior, the one thing that when you focus on that one thing and nothing else, right? Everything else from yesterday's episode gets thrown off your plate. It doesn't even make it to your plate. And if it's on it right now, it gets chopped out, right? Something has to go, something has to give for you to create that focus that's necessary. For every yes, there's 1,000 no's that are required. For every yes, 1,000 no's are required for you to accomplish the thing that you want. So what's the one thing that will get you there? And that's the key. So I'm going to give you, let's think about it from if you are in some sort of sales, if you're in sales. If you want to make $500,000 a year, $500,000 a year, you know, let's say you've narrowed down the action to pitching big deals, right? I got to pitch big deals. I got to ask for big, deals or offers, whatever you call them, or present, larger high ticket services. So let's just call it pitched big deals for the purposes of simplifying language. So if that's the case, that in order for you to make $500,000 a year, you need to pitch big deals. What you need to now do is not the pitching of the big deal, because you won't do it if you don't believe that you're someone who's capable of pitching big deals. You have to believe, your new belief has to become, I am capable of getting big deals. I'm capable of getting big deals. This is what must be programmed into your subconscious mind for you to begin to actually pitch the big deals. You have to begin to believe that you're capable of getting them when you pitch them. So again, it's the amount of income that you desire, the action required, the specific action required for you to get to that income. That's a stretch for you. Your current actions won't get you there. And then once you figure out that one action, right? I mean, could you imagine that if you just started pitching big deals, would you probably start closing some of those? You probably will. And the reality is it will increase your income because you'll make more. You'll sell more in volume, and that'll equate to a larger commission. Or if you're an entrepreneur, it's going to equate to more revenue. Bottom line, you pitch bigger deals, you get more income. And then this is the part, it's not about just saying that's enough, because your conscious mind alone will not get you there. You've heard me say it before. Your conscious mind is your goal setter. Your unconscious mind, Rockstar, is your goal getter. It's the part of you that either gets you to your outcome or it sabotages you from ever getting there. So the reality is these two parts of your mind must be congruent. They must be going in the same direction together. And we have to begin to program our unconscious mind to believe and to remove all of the weeds that are in the way, right? Like picking them out. What is the thing that I'm freaked out about that is stopping me from doing this action? Do I believe that success is going to create judgment and I won't be liked or loved? Maybe that's a core belief for you, that when you make more money than anybody else in your family has ever made, that maybe, and reject this if it doesn't apply, that your family, you believe at some level, not consciously perhaps, but at some level, there's something in there that says, well, my family or my friends will look at me differently. And Rockstar, that is enough to stop you from doing the behavior and stop you from believing that that's your identity of making that much income, right? $500,000 or a 7-figure year earner or 8-figure, whatever it is. You have to believe it because your behavior will never be aligned with that identity that will get you to the outcome. Your beliefs come first, right? Your beliefs come before the actual actions will happen. So so how do we do this? You may be asking, right? Start programming yourself. Figure out what those beliefs are that are going to support the action that you must begin taking. The one action that will get you there, the one thing. Maybe it's connecting with people right now, consistently, every day, 10 connection calls, 10 people you connect with. That's the one thing in communication, getting them on calls, right? Messenger, whatever it is, getting them on calls. Just connect. How are you doing? What's going on? Maybe that's the one thing right now that's going to take you closer to that goal because you don't have an income source coming in. So you have to get resourceful and figure it out. Or maybe that one thing is, you've got your programs dialed, they're ready to go. It's all there. You're doing the thing. Maybe again, it's getting out and shifting from, offering a $47 offer to offering a $5,000 or $10,000 offer. You're never going to create that offer, meaning the thing that goes in it for someone to change their life, if you don't believe that you have something of value to put in there. So you're not even going to create it, which is the first action. The second action is actually selling it, right? If you don't believe that you are capable enough of or worthy enough of making that much money per transaction, or if there's some underlying fear or belief about how you will be judged when you ask for that much money, you'll never get there. You'll always be selling a $47 offer, okay? Now, sometimes that's a front end offer and there's higher ticket offers on the back end. I get that. That's just strategy, okay? That has nothing to do with your belief system. It has to do with strategy and how you get people into your ecosystem and indoctrinate them to higher levels of working with you. So Rockstar, I hope you enjoyed this and you got value from this. If you got value from today's episode of The 1% Life, do me a favor. First of all, connect with me on the Instagram at Joanie Dillon, JoaniedDhillon, silent H. I don't know when my parents decided that. Somehow it got stuck there. So silent H in my name, and connect with me there. Take a screenshot of you watching or listening to this episode. Tag me in it. First of all, tag me so I see it. Tell me what you liked, what you loved, or what you want more of. What you liked, loved, let's just add another L, learned, or want more of. And I'd love to connect with you there. And please share this out. How we grow, how we're able to continue to put content out for you 5 days a week is by you selflessly sharing what you're learning, tagging people, sharing this out. And if you can do that every day, just share this out, share one episode, share it with one person even, every single day. That is an awesome contribution to you listening to the show. So thank you in advance for that. You're amazing. We appreciate you. And get out there and change some lives, Rockstar. You so deserve it, and they do too. Until next time on the 1% Life Show, peace.